We're going to do this lesson as a kind of like an extension of the last lesson. First, we're going to talk about the Pythagorean Theorem a little more, and then I'm going to show you this thing that came out of the Pythagorean Theorem called the distance formula. But one thing that we know about the Pythagorean Theorem is that it's true for the side lengths of the triangle, then the triangle is a right triangle. So we know that if the Pythagorean Theorem works, it's a right triangle. So let's see if these shapes are right triangles. 7 squared plus 24 squared equals 25 squared. If that's true, then this is a right triangle. If it's not, then it's some other type of triangle. So 49 plus 576 equals 625. 49 plus 576 is 625. So that means that this is, yes, a right triangle. Now, when you are trying to look at a triangle and it's slanted like this, especially with no right angle box, you have to go by what we talked about before, where the hypotenuse is the longest side. And it doesn't matter which one of these is A and which one is B. So I'll plug it in. 40 squared plus 80 squared equals 90 squared. That's 1600 plus 6400 equals 8100. If that's true, it is a right triangle. So close, but no. The distance formula was developed by way of using the Pythagorean theorem, and you can use it to find the distance between 2 points on a grid. Now, in the last note sheet, we had a question where there were like 2 paintball teams, and they drew a right triangle on the grid. That is pretty much what the distance formula is all about. Here is the distance formula. No, I am not going to make you memorize this formula, but you do need to know how to use it. Now, if you notice, these values are in the formula, and they're also here. This is just saying it's the distance between the x values, and this is the distance between the y values. So you see the distance between the y values, the distance between the x values, and when you square them, you'll get the d squared. So all they're doing is creating a right triangle on the coordinate grid. So let's use it. Anytime you have a formula, you write out the formula first, and then you plug in what you know. Alright, so now let's plug it in. D equals the big square root. I need to identify which is my x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. So I'll make this x1, and this will be y1, and this will be x2 and y2. It doesn't really matter which one you consider point 1 or point 2. Oh, you know what? This is very similar to what we did with the slope formula, where we have to identify our points, only it's a different application, but the same kind of concept. So plug in your values. x2 is 2 minus -3 squared plus -1 minus 5 squared. Two minus -3 is 5, and -1 minus 5 is -6. So that's 25 plus 36. So that's the square root of 61. And 61 doesn't break down, so that's pretty much the best we got. The distance equals square root of 61. If you want to turn that into a decimal, you can. Fine with me. Last example. You design a football play in which a player runs towards a field, makes a 90-degree turn, and runs to the corner of the end zone. Your friend runs the play as shown. Did your friend make a 90-degree turn? And they tell us that each unit is 10. All right, we're going to do this example in parts. Can you please use the distance formula to get me what D1 is? So what is this length right here? You're using these 2 points, plug those in, and just find me the distance of D1 and then play, and we'll continue. Alright, so I got D1 equals the square root of 1800. I'm going to leave it like that. You'll thank me later. You'll understand why. Now I want you to find D2. Pause the video and find D2. Alright, I got D2 equals the square root of 5,000. I'm going to leave it like that. You'll hopefully thank me later. And last one, what we have to do is find D3. So pause the video, find D3. Alright, final one, D3 is the square root of 6,800, and you'll thank me later. I left it like that. Actually, you'll thank me now, because now it's time to see if they form a right triangle. So I'm going to take D1, which is the square root of 1800, squared. Actually, let me write it down below, because I'm running out of space. Okay. I'll checking a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So let's check. The square root of 1800 squared plus the square root of 5,000 squared equals the square root of 6,800 squared. Hopefully you see now why I kept it like that. Oh, that's cool. I can do that. Whoa. Okay, so hopefully you see why I kept it like that, because now you get 1800, because they cancel out, right? You see that? They cancel each other out. And then plus 5,000 equals 6,800, which is true. So yes, the friend did make a 90-degree turn. I don't know why it's doing that. Yes, the friend turned 90 degrees. All right, if you have questions, write them down and ask me in class.